I want to start with a number that, well, it kind of scared me when I first saw it. 30 years.
The mortgage.
The standard mortgage term. It's basically a life sentence of payments. And I just want you to picture this scenario for a second, because I think a lot of us are living it.
Right.
You're in your house. It's, I don't know, a Tuesday night. Maybe you're in the suburbs of Chicago or a terrace house in London or, out in the sprawl of Sydney.
Right.
You've been working hard for those 30 years. You have equity. You look at your net worth on paper, and it looks pretty healthy.
On paper is the key phrase there. You see the number, but you don't feel the wealth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You look around, and the house is 30 years old. The roof probably needs looking at. That property tax bill just landed on the counter, and it is painful.
Oof, yeah.
You're thinking, I'm technically a millionaire or close to it, but I feel stretched. It's this weird feeling where you're asset rich, but lifestyle poor.
It's the classic liquidity trap of the Western middle class. You are sitting on a mountain of frozen capital, your home equity, but the cost of just maintaining that existence is eating you alive.
The maintenance, the taxes, the insurance.
The sheer cost of keeping the lights on.
You feel like you're running on a treadmill that's set just a little too fast. But today, we are looking at some research that suggests there's a trap door in that treadmill, a way to step off.
Right.
It's a concept that takes that same middle-class struggle and completely flips it on its head.
It does. We're doing a deep dive into something called Geo-Arbitrage. Now, that sounds like some complex Wall Street thing, but it's actually a very simple idea.
Break it down.
It's the strategic move of taking capital you earned in a strong currency, like the US dollar, the pound, and deploying it in a lower-cost, high-value environment. It's not just moving house. It's a financial masterstroke.
You're leveraging global inequality to your advantage.
That's a blunt way to put it, but yes.
Yeah.
That's essentially it.
And the specific destination for this, masterstroke, in our source material. We are heading to Thailand.
The land of smiles, but not for a 2-week holiday. And that's the important distinction here. We are analyzing a permanent shift. The whole mission of this deep dive is to see how you can swap that mundane, stress-filled life in the West
for what the sources call premium living
and high net worth status in Thailand. And this is crucial, how to do it without falling into the money pits that usually swallow up foreigners buying property abroad.
That is the key, isn't it? Because we've all heard the horror stories. Farang buys house collapses, or foreigner loses life savings in a land scam.
Yeah.
But before we get to the risks, and I promise we are going to drill down on those risks, I want to talk about the dream, the reality of the numbers. Let's unpack the money.
The numbers are pretty startling when you lay them side by side. It's a real exercise in purchasing power parity.
So our source material focuses on a specific price bracket. Let's say you sell that suburban home we mentioned. You cash out. After all the costs, you're sitting on maybe, what, $450,000 to $600,000?
A significant amount of money for sure. But let's be honest about what that buys you in a major Western market today.
Not much.
You take $500,000 to London, you're looking at a very small flat, probably not in the central zone, in Sydney. You might be buying a teardown in the outer suburbs.
Oh, absolutely. In some U.S. cities like San Francisco, that might not even be the down payment for a nice place. In the suburbs, maybe it's that 30-year-old house we started with. It's fine, but it's not luxury.
No. And it comes with that baggage of high maintenance. You're buying a chore list.
You're buying utility shelter.
Exactly. Now let's apply the geo-arbitrage. We take that exact same capital, no extra investment, just the money from the sale, and we move it to the Thai market. The purchasing power just explodes.
And we aren't talking a little better.
No. We are not talking a 20% improvement. We are talking a 300 or 400% upgrade in the quality of the asset.
The sources claim this same money transforms into a luxury pool villa. And I want to be clear on what that means. This isn't a timeshare.
No. This is a 3 to 4 bedroom, private, detached villa with its own saltwater pool. Or, if you're a city person, a high-end penthouse in Bangkok. The source explicitly says breathtaking river or ocean views.
A view of the ocean usually adds a zero to the price in the West.
Here, it's included in the bracket. It is a wild difference. It's the difference between looking at your neighbor's fence and looking at the Andaman Sea.
And it's not just the view, right? It's the space.
It's a space. The data suggests you're gaining 2 to 3 times more living area, and the quality of the finish, what they call superior luxury finishes, is just structurally different. You're basically trading a Honda Civic for a Rolls-Royce just by changing the country it's parked in.
And this is where it gets really interesting for me. it's not just about the house itself. I mean, a big house is nice, but if you still have to scrub the toilets and skim leaves out of the pool, that's not luxury.
That's just more work.
It's just sweat.
And that's where the five-star lifestyle concept from the source material comes in. This is where the arbitrage moves from capital assets to operational costs, daily life.
They use the phrase endless service, which sounds a bit like a hotel slogan. What does that mean in real life?
Well, in the West, labor is incredibly expensive. A gardener, a housekeeper, pool maintenance. That's a line item for the truly wealthy. It could cost you thousands a month just to maintain a large property.
Sure.
In Thailand, because of the cost of living difference, that same middle-class budget can afford professional help. We're talking full-time staff for a fraction of the cost, maybe $400 or $500 a month.
So you're not just buying the pool, you're buying the freedom from cleaning the pool.
That's it. That changes your whole relationship with your home. You stop being a home maintainer and you start being a residence manager. You enjoy your assets instead of just managing them.
And that idea extends to wellness, too, which is a huge factor, especially for retirees.
Oh, massive. The healthcare aspect.
Yeah, I feel like people have huge misconceptions about this. They hear developing nation and they imagine, I don't know, subpar care.
The sources correct that assumption, and quite aggressively. Thailand is a global hub for medical tourism for a reason. They highlight access to JCI-accredited hospitals.
Okay, pause on that. JCI accredited. What does that actually mean?
It's the Joint Commission International. It's the gold standard for global healthcare. If a hospital has that accreditation, it means they meet the exact same tough standards for safety and procedure as, say, the Mayo Clinic in the U.S.
Wow.
These places, the source says, feel more like five-star hotels with marble lobbies and concierge services, not your typical hospital waiting room.
And the cost?
The figure given is 70% lower than in the West. So you get world-class quality of care, but you remove the financial ruin that often comes with healthcare in places like the U.S. An MRI might cost a few $100s, not a few thousand.
It really is a complete ecosystem upgrade. But
Yeah.
I have to ask, can you just stay there? I mean, you can't just show up and live there forever, right?
Well, that's another strategic advantage the text mentions. Thailand has recognized this demographic, and they've created specific long-term options. They mentioned the LTR, the long-term resident visa, or the retirement visa.
And is it hard to get?
The LTR is designed for, and I'm quoting here, wealthy global citizens, wealthy pensioners, and work from Thailand professionals. It's a 10-year renewable visa.
And it comes with perks, I assume?
It comes with tax benefits. Specifically, you're often exempt from tax on overseas income. So again, it just reinforces the whole geo-arbitrage. Lower costs, better lifestyle, and you potentially optimize your tax position.
Okay, stop. I have to play devil's advocate here, because so far, this sounds like a complete dream. I sell my drafty house, I buy a villa in Phuket, I have a gardener, and I pay less tax. Where do I sign?
Right.
But surely it's not that simple. We've all seen this movie before. Westerner goes abroad, buys a dream villa, and 3 years later, the roof caves in.
And here is where, the critical thinking has to come in. If it were that easy, everyone would do it tomorrow. The reality is, buying property in any foreign country is a major step, and it is full of risk. The source material actually calls this out. They identify a very specific problem, the gap.
The gap. That sounds ominous.
It is if you fall into it. It's the gap between local builds and international standards.
Ah,
See, in the West, we have these rigorous building codes. You buy a house, you just assume the electrical is grounded, the plumbing is vented, the concrete was cured properly.
we just take it for granted. It's just how houses are built.
Correct. But in a place like Thailand, local building practices can vary wildly.
Yeah.
You might see a beautiful villa online. The photos look perfect. But what's going on behind the drywall?
That's the scary part.
The source warns about things like honeycombing in concrete
Oh.
because it wasn't mixed or vibrated correctly, or electrical systems without a proper earth ground, which in a country with monsoons and lightning is genuinely life-threatening.
So you could be buying a death trap that just looks pretty, or just a money pit. Imagine finding out 6 months after you buy that moisture is wicking up through your floor because they never installed a damp-proof membrane in the foundation. That's a structural disaster.
You can't fix that with a coat paint.
No. So, how do you solve this? The source introduces a group called Tavorn Investor. Now, normally you'd look for a real estate agent, but these guys seem to be something else.
They position themselves differently.
They do. They make a very clear point that you don't just need an agent. An agent sells you the dream. They want the commission. Tavorn Investor says you need a professional engineer and investment consultant.
Engineer and investor solutions. That's their tagline.
And it's a powerful combination. Think about it. An investor looks at the ROI, the yield. An engineer looks at the concrete, the load-bearing walls. They claim to bridge that gap we just talked about.
Okay, so let's dig into the engineering side first. They mentioned professional house inspections. What are they actually looking for? This is so crucial. Whether you're buying a pre-built home or building from scratch, they provide oversight. They verify the structural integrity. They're not just looking at the paint color. They're looking at the roof truss alignment. They're checking the electrical load capacity.
To make sure it can handle running 5 air conditioners at once.
Which is vital in a tropical climate, absolutely.
Yep.
The source emphasizes engineering precision. It's about making sure the investment is built to last. It's the difference between a pretty facade and a secure asset.
And if you're building from scratch, they mention supervision by licensed engineers.
Which seems like a game changer. I can't imagine trying to manage a construction site in Thailand from a laptop in London.
You can't. It's impossible. You need boots on the ground who speak the language, both Thai and the language of engineering, to make sure that when the contractor says it's done, it's actually done right.
To international standards, Cavern Investor acts as that proxy, that insurance policy.
And that leads to the other side of their name, the investor side, the home as a high-performing asset.
This goes right back to our opening point. If you're moving your entire net worth into this one property, it needs to perform. You don't want to dump 600 grand into a house that nobody wants to rent if you travel for 6 months.
So they analyze capital appreciation, rental yields?
Exactly. It turns the purchase from a purely emotional decision, oh, I like this view, into a data-driven one.
I like this view, and the rental yield supports the asset value.
It's fiduciary responsibility to yourself.
They also mention legal navigation. We touched on this, but how big of a hurdle is the legal side?
It's the final and maybe the biggest hurdle. Foreigners can't directly own land in Thailand in their own name, like you can in the U.S. There are structures. Leasehold, freeholds for condos, corporate structures for villas. It's complex.
So if you get that wrong,
you lose the asset.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Having legal navigation for a transparent transaction is non-negotiable. You need to know that contract is secure.
Okay, so we know the why geo-arbitrage. We know the how engineering oversight. Now let's talk where. Because Thailand is a big place.
It is.
The source lists some specific locations, and they seem to represent different strategies, right?
100%. This shows the diversity of the market. It's not one size fits all.
Let's start with the big ones, Phuket and Pattaya.
Those are your blue chip stocks. Phuket is classic island luxury, international, great airport, high-end infrastructure. That's where you go for the highest rental yields because tourism demand is just relentless. But the entry price is higher.
And Pattaya?
Pattaya is that city beach hybrid. It's really close to Bangkok, so it's popular with expats who want convenience. It's a volume market.
Then there's Bangkok itself, the metropolis.
That's your growth stock. If you want that penthouse lifestyle, world-class shopping, rooftop bars, that's Bangkok. Here you're betting on capital appreciation. As the city gets denser, prime real estate becomes gold.
A different energy.
Fast, loud, exciting.
They also list Chiang Mai.
The north. This is the lifestyle play. Mountains, culture, a much slower pace. It's significantly cheaper than Phuket or Bangkok. It's popular with retirees who want cooler weather and a greener environment.
More house for your money there.
More house for your money, but maybe a slightly lower rental yield. It's a trade-off.
And then there's some interesting ones that many listeners might not know. Chonburi, Konkan, Korat, Udon Thani.
These are fascinating. This is the emerging market play. Konkan, Korat, Udon Thani. That's the eastern region, the northeast.
Why would an investor look there?
Infrastructure. The new high-speed rail connecting China to Bangkok runs right through there. The government is pouring money into these regions. Buying there now is like buying in Austin, Texas 20 years ago.
So you're getting in ahead of the curve.
You're not competing with 50,000 other expats for a condo view. You're buying at a fraction of the cost in a region where domestic wealth is growing fast. It shows they're not just sourcing in the tourist traps.
So if I'm hearing you right, Phuket is for the person who wants the brochure lifestyle now. Isan is for the person who wants to catch the next wave of growth.
Precisely. It's about matching the location to your own risk tolerance and your life goals. Do you want waves, city buzz, or the knowledge you got in early?
And knowing that whichever you choose, those core principles, the engineering checks, the legal checks, they have to remain the same.
If anything, you need more due diligence in the emerging markets.
So what does this all mean? We started this deep dive with this feeling of being stuck. stuck in a cycle of high costs and the feeling that your hard-earned equity isn't really working for you.
And we've traveled to a solution that suggests you can take that equity and transmute it, turn it into a legacy of luxury. But the crucial takeaway is that this is not a DIY project.
Right. It's not about just booking a flight and buying the first house you see. It's a sophisticated financial move that requires precision.
Engineering precision. It's a compelling argument. Instead of being the average person in a rich neighborhood in the West stressing about the heating bill, you move to a market where your capital makes you the king of the castle.
A castle with a pool, professional staff, and structural integrity verified by an engineer. If this deep dive into the mechanics of geo-arbitrage has sparked some ideas for you, or maybe just made you look at your property tax bill with a bit more resentment, the source for all this expertise is Tavorn Investor.
They seem to be the gateway for people who want to do this the right way. Not just dreaming, but executing with data and safety. They're the ones bridging that gap.
You can find them at their website, theheingelinvestors.com, or, and I really recommend this after our conversation about construction quality, check out their YouTube channel, Tavorn Investor.
Oh yeah, seeing the inspections on video is eye-opening. Watching an engineer tap a concrete pillar and explain why it sounds hollow. That is the kind of reality check you need before you wire any money.
Visual proof is everything. So we'll leave you with a final thought to chew on.
We often define ourselves by our economic status where we live. We say, I'm middle class. But that label is entirely dependent on your geography. It's relative.
Right. Context is everything.
So the question is, if you are sitting on significant equity in a modest Western home, are you actually a middle-class citizen struggling to get by?
Or are you, in reality, a high net worth individual who is simply living in the wrong place?
That's a question we're thinking about. Thanks for listening.
Until next time.